There you go.
You look great, Hala. We like it.
You.
I didn't catch.
How are you, Nikki Rogers?
Hi. Yeah, I didn't catch the purple memo until this morning. So, and I don't own any purple.
Yeah, me neither.
That's okay, Nikki. It's all good.
Awesome. Nikki, you got us to your, all of us, the three of us, to yourself. So let me first, it's going to be a really intimate session because you're the only one so far. But I'm going to go ahead and give you all the attention that you deserve, Miss Rogers. And I'm going to go ahead and introduce both Lauren and Jan, our panelists. So I'm going to give you a quick introduction about Lauren. Lauren Sweeney is a coach and a trainer at Rise Up For You. She is a speaker confidence creator mindset trainer. Ooh. Lauren is an activator and a creative thinker with a heart for public service. So she has advanced coaching certification from Direct Sales World Alliance, along with a Bachelor of Science in Communication and Regional Development from UC Davis. Lauren has served as an ambassador for the BRIA Chamber for several years and enjoys supporting businesses with marketing and confidence, leadership, and development. Serving as a trainer of trainers for the California Association of Student Council for many years, Lauren thrives on mentoring via asking questions, actively listening, and being a positive example of what she teaches. And now let me introduce our awesome Jan Walsh. Jan is a highly motivated and accomplished insurance executive with personal and professional integrity. Her innovative sales and marketing strategies and leadership skills are the foundation of her success. Jan started her career at Anthem Blue Cross as a Medicare sales rep and was quickly promoted to a regional sales manager for individual group and Medicare sales. In 2012, she was recruited by Ward and Brown as a national sales director, developing their individual and Medicare division. When that division was sold, she became an account executive with Emerson Reed, serving as a general agent for group insurance. Jan joined Easy Choice in 2017, assisting their growth, which led to the integration with WellCare and further integration to Centene. Jan was promoted to senior manager, broker products. In August 2020, Jen was recruited by Copeland Insurance Group, where she is now the regional vice president and handles the Western region. So that, in brief, is a little bit about Lauren and a little bit about Jen. And you know a lot about me, so I don't need to introduce myself. But why don't you introduce yourself to our panelists, and then we will open it up for questions.
Yeah. Well, hello. It's nice to meet both of you, Dan and Lauren. It sounds like the both of you have a very impressive background and work life. Jan, I'm very familiar with Word and Brown and benefits. I used to work at Benefit Mall selling payroll prior to.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you probably know, do you know Tara?
No, I heard about her. Tara was there just before I started. So I must have come shortly after. So I worked, we would partner up with they changed sales executives on the benefit side. And I worked hold on, I'm drawing a blank. See, I come to a new world and all of a sudden I don't remember names.
Okay.
So Garnica, he was I think he was at Ward and Brown too, before he came to Benefit Mall.
He could have been. I know Tara was in my Bible study and she broke away from Benefit Mall and started her own payroll company.
Serendipity, right? Is it Serendipity?
Serendipity. Yep, that's it.
I'm familiar. So funny. So nice to meet you both. I'm at Human Interest now, selling 401k. Well, I'm the wholesaler. I don't directly speak to clients, but yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Good. Did you have any, do you want me to kind of go into a little bit kind of what I don't know, how long do we have?
We have 20 minutes.
45.
Yeah, we have 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
great.
no. So we actually have 5 because I'm manning a booth.
Got it.
So I have
5 minutes?
Yeah. So but I would love to hear quickly. I really was interested in what, in your whole introduction. So if you can give me a little brief.
So I'll start. I was going to kind of discuss a little bit just because of the insurance. As you know, the health insurance side has just changed drastically over the last several years, but significantly in the last few years. So, the one thing I think that we know for sure is it's always going to change. So I look at really the insurance field, although it changes, it's going to be pandemic proof. Mm-hmm. The three areas I kind of wanted to focus on is, as far as the virtual world was getting folks access to care has changed significantly. Mm-hmm. As the way physicians are getting paid and will get paid in the future. And then the third is just on how insurance products are presented and actually purchased. So access to care, they're using the telehealth services now. They're using remote monitoring. They're using, seniors are starting to consider where before they would buy long-term care insurance in case they went into a nursing home. I think the pandemic proved to everybody that nobody wants to go into a nursing home. It's almost like a senior citizen jail, right? Because if something happens, they can't get out. And so they're looking to find ways to navigate that. And then with insurance, I think my passion lies, as you saw, I started as a Medicare sales rep and didn't even know an HMO from a PPO, but worked my way because I just had a passion for making sure that the senior understood what I was presenting. Mm-hmm. And so having that passion just led to being very successful. I think if you find what you love to do, it's not really work. Mm-hmm. And I've continued to follow that. And so the insurance products, I think, are just the more that we stay away from them being transactional and making them more relational, I think it will always serve everyone in the best capacity. So, with the insurance products, as you know, now we can do it all online. We don't have to meet face to face. But all of the pandemic, I hate to say there's anything good about it, but there are things that have developed. And there's different industries that have just really soared as a result of all of the changes that needed to be made.
Very cool. Yes, I completely agree.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions for any of the panelists before you have to skedaddle and man your booth and woman your booth?
So which booth are you managing?
Human interest. It's just an expo, not a session. My boss, I think she's going to hop in too, but she's just here to support me. So I don't want to leave her hanging in there. But yeah, Lauren, what did you say you did? I'm sorry.
That's okay. I work for a company and we do personal and professional development. So confidence, leadership development, business development, and hi guys. We're worldwide all over. So we have clients in all different countries. We have a big women's conference on Monday that we're doing. We have 1,000 people from all over the world registered. Wow. And yeah, so that's what we do. So it's pretty cool.
I really, really love that because I actually have a passion for, building confidence in like younger women, or other women who don't think that they're capable. So I really, really like that. Well, I'm glad. I wish I could talk more and hang out. I saw Hala say no one was in this booth. So I was like, I'll pop in and say hi.
It worked. My luring.
So I am going to have to hop off, but thank you so much. I probably will reach out to you at some point. I appreciate you taking your time.
Nice to meet you, Nikki.
Bye.
Nice to meet you.
Awesome. We have Asya. I don't know if she can come in and join us on stage. Oh, she's
so this is going to be what time does our second session start technically?
So we are here until 4:45. We have 5 minutes, and then 10:50 the second one will start. Okay. So I think Asya missed the introduction, but we're gonna go ahead and start talking about the different ideas that we saw different pivots happening in the industry, whether it is the healthcare industry that you can share, Jan, with us, or whether it is in the general workplace. And I'm sure, Lauren, you have seen all sorts of different pivots all around the different industry, especially from managing people when everyone had to go remote. There is an additional layer that didn't exist before. So, Jan, why don't you share with us a little bit, and maybe this will trigger some question from Asya.
So when we all, so I was actually employed at a large health insurance carrier at the time. So when we were notified that we were all going to be at stay-at-home orders, it really changed drastically. But being that was it is a managed care health insurance carrier, a lot of their success is having nurses going out into the field to actually visit with the seniors in their homes. Mm-hmm. And so really there was a lot of activity behind the scenes that nobody saw, just to equip those folks to getting out in the field, getting the proper PPE, all of that to get out in the field and take care of those seniors. A lot of them with chronic conditions, it's extremely important to keep them taking their medications. Pharmacies were having difficulty, getting folks adequately to pick up their medications. Nobody wanted to go out. So it was definitely a lot of moving parts that I think from truly what we went through, I think we were very successful navigating that and quickly getting kind of to a position where, we're working it out. There's things that still need to be addressed. Mm-hmm. But I think from the standpoint, there's always to be folks, I'm in the Medicare space, so there's always folks turning 65 that need that education. But then there's always folks that are changing medications that need help navigating that too. So long as they have that relationship with their broker, they can outreach and call and contact and get that education. But the brokers then too, kind of speaking on the other side, from the brokers and the folks that are actually presenting the products to the seniors, they had to learn all new systems and tools and things like that. Some of them chose just to kind of say, I'm just going to sit here and wait until things go back to normal. I think over time, we realize there is no going back to normal. It is now a new normal, but it's really if we can stay focused on the positivity of the pandemic. There are things that have changed in online enrollments, DocuSign documents that allow us to just click, 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 and basically it's done. So a broker doesn't need to go to the kitchen table and sit down face to face with them. But just literally a year and a month ago, that was the case. Yeah. There was no doing it virtually over the phone or online. So there's a lot of things that have changed on the good side. We are constantly, the agency that I work with, Copeland, we are hiring all the time. So a lot of skills that can be, maybe were used teaching school or whatever can be transitioned. And I know Lauren's an expert kind of in that area in transitioning skills so that maybe it fits in a new industry. And I think that's kind of where we're going.
Yeah, that's fascinating because before I transition to my new career as a business coach, I used to be in the IT industry. And in the IT industry, we used to talk about this digital transformation and getting people to convince them to come on board in this digital world, and then it only took a pandemic to speed up that process. So thanks for sharing, Jen, on this aspect from the medical industry, the medical side, and the senior care. How about you, Lauren? What did you see the major shift happening from the pandemic? What's the biggest impact on organizations, especially on the people side?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I know getting creative too, and the stress that it's had on people. How do we pivot? Jan, you're talking about it in the medical area. We're talking about it really globally. What do I do and how do I pivot? So we love to do an exercise on our macro level confidences. So what we can do, and I know we'll do this later, is literally getting out a piece of paper and writing down all the things that make us amazing. What makes us super awesome? And those things that don't necessarily have to do with our title or have to do with anything else, but just what makes us amazing. Those are your macro level confidences. And then you have your micro level confidences. Those are your titles, your positions, all those things. And those things, as we know with the pandemic, they move, they shift, they're growing and changing. And that can be very hard for people. I know for myself too, I definitely am a kind of a title and achievement person. I don't know if you guys follow the Enneagram. I'm an Enneagram 3, which is a high achiever. So if we're not achieving, we can feel like, oh my goodness, I'm not contributing, which of course is not true, but it's hard for us to know that. So making a list of those things. And I told Jan and Hala too in our session, I literally have them on a Post-it. What makes me awesome, that I'm incredible, that I like those things that are not, they don't have to do with a title. That way, when things change, yes, right, the Post-it, that way if something changes, you still have who you are. Not that it doesn't stink if you lost your job or you had to change your title or you're growing in a new role. Not that things don't sting, of course, but regaining that confidence, it's faster to regain it if we remember who we are.
Yeah, exactly. Find who you truly are, what are your true values, and the rest you can acquire and you can change and pivot. I love that. So what are the kind of specifics that, worked for you, Jen, in order for you to, pivot and adapt quickly? Because, agile is a big term for people to be competitive, not necessarily, having the right tools, but also how quickly can you adapt. So what can you attribute was, the biggest impact on taking this to market for you personally and probably for your industry?
So I would think first and foremost for me, being mindful of your authentic self. What do you truly like to do? And not really fake it too much in the sense, if you're, I know there's a strength finder that the Clifton that I follow.
Yeah.
I found that my strengths, I thought, oh my gosh, it just made such total sense of why I'm kind of this nerdy person that loves to read nonfiction and love to come home at the end of a week where I'm out in the field engaging with people all the time. I love to come home and just read a good book, but it's not a romantic novel. It's a nonfiction book, talking about all sorts of topics. But I think being authentic to your true self. And then the other part is making sure that you're fit. Personally, whether it's just changing your diet to just be really, and not diet like lose weight necessarily, but just sure that you're consuming, not too much caffeine and you're going to bed on, you're getting your 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And, even if it's not exercise where you're really, beefing up or anything, but you're going for a walk, 20, 30-minute walk, making sure that you stay fit. And then the other part of that is, financially, I belong to another nonprofit that speaks to kind of women's finances. I think financially fit allows us to make better decisions as we move forward. Yeah. And then the last is the spiritual component. I truly believe that, when you have a purpose and that you are being guided to serve the purpose that you have and use the talents that you've been given, to serve the community, it's win, 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 win all the way around.
Yeah, I love that. These are the values that ground you. And this goes back to what Lauren said earlier. These are your macros. This is your brand, what you stand for. This is who you are. And if you always keep track and make sure that you stick to that, you will always, kind of stand on your feet, kind of. How about you, Lauren? What are the things that you find personally and have worked for other organizations to help them pivot quickly?
So I have another exercise for you guys. This one's really good.
Let's do it. I love exercising.
Let's do it. We've got time. 2 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll just tell it to you and you guys can do it later. So you're going to come up with a goal personally and professionally, because when we don't have clarity, it comes from a lack of confidence. We think I need clarity, then I'll get into action. It's the reverse. The better we feel about ourselves, then we can have more clarity and then we'll take action. So it's reversed. It actually starts with rebuilding our confidence in who we are first. So here's the exercise. You're going to do a personal and professional goal in the next 90 days. And Jan, I'm sure you do this. Well, both of you with the people you lead, and then Hala with your clients. All right. The what is my goal, right? And Isaiah, I know that you love this leadership space too. So what is my goal? Why? I'm going to put it in the chat. Why do I want it? Because I know you guys know, if we don't know why we want to do it, we're going to give up after day one of no sugar. Anybody? How am I going to achieve it? And you guys are all amazing, so you know, but being really specific on my what. So a client will say, I want to get healthy. Well, that's not quantifiable. What does get healthy look like? I want to have more clients. How many more clients? We have to be specific, otherwise we can't measure it. If we can't measure it, then we're fuzzy. We don't want to be fuzzy on where we're going. Then the no thank you. Who do I have to, or what do I have to say no thank you to reach my goal? Binging on Netflix? I don't know. I mean, that's up to you guys to figure out, right? And then who? Who is going to keep me accountable? Who is going to support me? Who can also be an app that we're using, a podcast that we're listening to, a book that we're reading, depending upon what the goal is. Absolutely, Isaiah. So setting boundaries so you know how to say no thank you. Yeah, absolutely. That exercise is so much clarity. And when you have that clarity and you remember how awesome you are, you're more likely to take action. The last thing I'll say is that if you're not taking action, it's not because you're lazy or blah, 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 blah. It's really go backwards on why I'm not taking action. There's some type of resistance there. And that's why you need someone to help you coach through it.
I love that. I love the no thank you a lot. This is the, I don't know how to pronounce. I'm sorry if I'm butchering your name. Is it Isaiah, Asiya? Asiya. Okay, very good. Awesome. So this is, and I love that your name ends with, yeah. This is the winning name. I love it. So definitely setting boundaries, saying no, eliminating distractions, and knowing exactly your purpose and what's that fire within you, how you keep it on. This is what's going to keep you motivated.
And one thing I wanted to add, because in a gazillion years, I never in a million gazillion years thought that senior Medicare insurance would be my passion. So I guess the other part of that authentic self is don't be afraid to try something that is maybe out of your what you think you want to do. And it was actually a girlfriend that made the recommendation. This would have been 20 plus years ago. And she in Medicare sales. And she's like, you would love it. And I said, oh my God, it sounds like you're poking me in the eye. I said, that just sounds horrible to sit down with an older person and try to explain insurance when I don't even know what insurance is. And she's like, it's not about the product. It's about the relationship. She said, you would just love sitting down with these people. And I'm like, so I did. I went through the process. I got my insurance license. I got on board with it. And I loved it. And to say I loved it, it was successful very quickly because I was making it very simple. And I think that actually goes back when we're talking about transitioning skills. Everybody would say, how do you make it so simple? And I think now I look back and I used to teach dance. And I would teach little kids dance. And I would say, like first position, make your heels kiss, and second position. Now they got mad at each other and they're, so different things to make it simple. I did the same in the Medicare space. And now take that a step further as the vice president of an insurance company. I don't sell to seniors anymore, but I help brokers stay focused and get the proper training and coaching like what Lauren does. Sometimes they know the product so well, but they don't have the skill set to transition the knowledge from here to the heart here, to the senior there. So having some coaching, that's what I do from an insurance side, but I literally make recommendations for the agents to get coaching in the areas. There's nothing wrong with that. That is just, that's what we do. We want to, develop those skills like what Lauren does.
Yeah, absolutely. And speak to the heart. I love it. Lauren, is there anything you want to add? I think we have 1 minute before we break into our 5 minutes break.
Yeah, I was going to add to that, Jan, them knowing who they are, and you talked about like take it out of their head and go into their heart, or we will even talk about scheduling what it is that they want, that they need to fill their own cup. So like if they need to journal, or you both have habits that you put into place that really do make you amazing, and that you might not even realize you're doing, that help you be such a high performing person. And so if we can put those things into place, I'll give you guys a really cool, and I know it looks like we have a few more people watching now, so feel free to post questions in the chat. I'm going to talk about positive triggers. We always hear about triggers and you're like, oh, trigger, bad, right? Positive trigger. So for example, let's say you want to remember to be present. You're like, I want to come out of my mind because my mind's a dangerous neighborhood. I don't want to stay there alone, okay? I want to have a positive mantra, et cetera, et cetera. You create a positive trigger. For example, every time I go through a doorway, I'm going to clap once and just like come to the moment. Or every time I go through a doorway, say what you're grateful for. Or every time I leave the front of my house, a client will actually, like every time she goes out her front door, so that's not happening like constantly, close her eyes, just like say a little prayer, or, whatever it is that for you. The other cool thing is if you're looking to start a new habit, which Jan, I know it sounds like you're coaching like your leaders through that you manage, and Hala, I'm sure you do this with your clients, is take a habit and attach it to a habit. So let's say this comes from Atomic Habits, the book.
Yes.
Read it? So let's say you're drinking your coffee in the morning, and let's say you always drink your coffee in the morning, or tea or whatever. And let's say you want to start a journaling practice. So while I'm drinking my coffee, I'm now going to incorporate my new habit with it. So I take a habit I already have, combine it with a new habit, and it helps it to, instead of like having all these disjointed new habits, which makes it harder to stick with them.
Yes, I love the habit association, especially for those who try to be more active. They try to listen to their podcasts while walking or watch TV while on the treadmill. I love this concept a lot.
Yeah.
Awesome. I like the concept that was mentioned about the no thank you. I think that only so much space for people and places and things in my front row. It's kind of like you're on the stage and there's only so many seats in the front row. Sometimes people, places, associations, organizations, sometimes you have to put them to the second row or the balcony to bring something else to the forefront. Yes. And so you can't just keep flooding with more. I was guilty of that. I would just take more and more on. And I was finding myself not, I won't say not doing anything good, but doing things less than what I knew I was capable of. So I started to say, and no thank you is a complete sentence.
Yes.
You don't have to go into the why. It's just, unfortunately, my time schedule doesn't allow me to attend, or it's just a quick, and then that little emoji with the zipper.
Yes, exactly. And this is something, what we call kind of addition by subtraction. So the more you eliminate the negative stuff, you're going to add positive things and create that vacuum for better things to take place and to happen. I know we are coming to 2. So we have Leslie. Hi, Leslie. Good to have you here. And let me see in the big event if anything. So the next session should be starting now. Okay, let me see. So the next session starts at 10:50 and we break at 11:20 for 5 minutes. Very good. I was just checking to make sure that I have everything correct. Oh, so Leslie is from No Nonsense Marketing and PR in Long Beach. We are very happy to have you. And Asiya is still with us, and I love the name. Fantastic. So I'm going to reset the room. I'm going to give an introduction for our amazing panelists. We have so much to share with you. So let me introduce our panelists quickly. So we have the amazing Lauren Sweeney. She is a coach and a trainer at Rise Up For You. She is a speaker on confidence and creator mindset trainer as well. So Lauren is an activator and a creative thinker with a heart for public service. She's disciplined, coachable, and goal-oriented. She is driven by challenges and has a passion for leadership and development and collaboration. She has advanced coaching certification from the Direct Sales World Alliance, along with a Bachelor of Science in Communication and Regional Development from UC Davis. While there, Lauren also won the Charles Hess Community Service Award for her efforts in the community. Lauren has served as an ambassador for the Brea Chamber for several years and enjoys supporting businesses with marketing and confidence and leadership development, serving as a trainer of trainers for the California Association of Student Councils for many years. Lauren thrives on mentoring via asking questions, actively listening, and being a positive example for what she teaches. Lauren, we are very happy to have you with us. And now let me introduce the awesome Jan Walsh. Jan is a highly motivated and accomplished insurance executive with personal and professional integrity. Her innovative sales and marketing strategies and leadership skills are the foundation of her success. Jan started her career at Anthem Blue Cross as a Medicare sales rep and was quickly promoted to a regional sales manager for individual, group, and Medicare sales. In 2012, she was recruited by Word & Brown as National Sales Director, developing their individual and Medicare division. When that division was sold, she became an account executive with Emerson Reed, serving as a general agent for group insurance. Jan joins Easy Choice in 2017, assisting their growth, which led to the integration with WellCare and future integration to Centene. Jan was promoted to Senior Manager, Broker Products. In August of 2020, Jan was recruited by Copeland Insurance Group, where she is now the Regional Vice President and handles the West region. These are our awesome panelists. They have amazing accolades and lots of experience to share with us. But in the topic of, pivoting and how this pandemic has really flipped our world upside down almost exactly a year ago, Jen, from your perspective, it was a pandemic, it was a health issue, and it impacted the healthcare industry big time. Can you share with us a little bit, how did it impact the healthcare from your world and your point of view?
Most definitely. Thank you for everyone that's attending. So as Hala explained, I have over 20 years of experience in the Medicare space, in the health insurance space, and nothing has hit the market like a pandemic, right? And there's not only did it hit the doctors, it hit the nursing staff, the hospitals. It hit both from a client and patient perspective, but it also hit the financial perspective of even the doctors and the hospitals. Because if you think about it, when you go to the doctor, you basically pay a copay. And then the insurance company that you belong to, the claim is filed from the doctor's office to the insurance company, and then they reimburse the doctor. And what happened is a lot of that process had changed drastically because folks weren't going into the doctor. So if the doctor's not taking patients, the doctor's not getting paid. So what's transitioned a lot is there's a new way and a different way. It's been in place for quite a number of years. It just hasn't had the adoption as it has now in the pandemic. And that's called value-based contracting. And so now we've got doctors that are set up where they get paid to take care of a patient, so much money per member, per patient, per month, so that they are not reimbursed by the quantity of times you go to the doctor, by the quality that they keep of your overall health. So they're actually incentivized to keep you healthy. Well, what a concept is that, right? Why pay the doctor all the time for seeing you when it really could be better served for us? I would much rather that doctor get paid to keep me healthy overall. So that's been quite a experienced doctors have really adopted that. And we're seeing a lot of traction, and the brokers are really helping in that process.
What a transformation in the healthcare industry, in the insurance industry, but overall in the way we do business and we manage our team. I remember back in the IT industry where I used to work, we used to push for digital transformation all the time, and it took a pandemic. So now everyone is fully embracing remote work and, the new way, or the new normal, as we're calling it these days. So Lauren, from your perspective, you deal a lot with teams and sales and confidence and empowerment. How did that affect the workplace, and what did you see the biggest pivots and shift that organization had to take in this world?
Yeah, I mean, people really had to get creative. And we talked in the last session about knowing who they are, knowing their value, and feeling confident in themselves, because having to shift everything really wiped out a sense of self for a lot of people. A lot of people were able to pivot, and a lot of people felt very stuck, and some people still feel very stuck. And so also with all of life at the same time being tossed on its head, right? So like your kids, and then maybe your partner, and then parents, if you have aging parent, like all of life being moved is very disorienting. And that really kind of shook so many of us in the whole globe, yet it also brought so many of us closer together, because we're going through like a common experience in a lot of ways. So how do we shift and grow and change? And like Jan was saying, how do they have different billing? How do they shift patient care? What does it look like? And Hala, you were saying, like, so great that finally been pushing, like, let's be digital. And then now, okay, finally they did it, right? Or just even us opening up, we work with clients all over the world, but pre-pandemic, like you met Netta, our founder, Hala, at Rise Up For You, live at this conference last year, right? So mostly we were doing things live. And so forcing us to go all 100% virtual for an entire year has really supported us in growing internationally. Yeah. That's really made a big difference, so that we could be open to opportunities. So seeing things as a blessing, and seeing, yes, thank you, Isaiah. Yes, seeing like the cup. Okay. Now, you guys know from our last session, I like exercises.
Yes.
So I'm going to give a new exercise. You guys ready?
Let's do it.
This has to do with planning your day. I was helping a client earlier today in blocking and time blocking. And she has a business, and she really wants to pivot it from a brick and mortar store to one, she's over in the UK, to one that's online. And most of us want to have more of an online digital presence, don't we? Mm-hmm. So most of us, when we fill our cups, no pun intended, we fill it with the sand. The sand is your email, returning a text, the little things, the things that make us feel productive, but it doesn't really move us forward in our real goals, right? If you fill a cup with sand, is there any room left for rocks? Mm-mm. Nope. The whole thing's full. Maybe some water could get through, right? From a scientific perspective, you could probably put some water in there, but that's it. Now let's reverse it. Now I want you to think about the big rocks in your life, personally and professionally. What are some big rocks in our lives personally? Getting our workout in, getting our water in, that, time with our significant others, like time with our, like all the things that really matter to us. Professionally, it's calling that scary client, quote unquote. It's, those bigger things that we know we need to do that somehow, sometimes we don't get to. Mm-hmm. Those go in our cart first. So if we're checking out at the grocery store, those go in first. So if you imagine my cup analogy, I'm putting my big rocks in first, okay? Once the big rocks are in, then I can fit in my medium rocks. Medium rocks are like, let's do my customer service. For example, let's follow up with people as we need to, okay? Then what is there room for? The sand. The sand will find its way between the rocks, no problem. We'll have time for the sand. We like the sand. It's easy. It makes us feel productive and accomplished.
Yeah, so do it quick.
Do it quickly. So we reverse how we engineer our day. And I'm sure, Jan, you talk to your sales reps in the field about this all the time. If you only did 1 to 3 big rocks a day, you would be so much more productive, have so much more sales or whatever it is you do with work versus those little things that don't really move the needle.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, and it's looking at it proactively. Look at I say, look at your day before the day starts. So look at, I always look at my next day the night before. So before I shut everything down, I totally review my whole next day so that things are, at least I know exactly what my priority is. Mm-hmm. And then I also look, I wish I could say I look at it on Friday for the next week, but I'm still working a little bit on Saturday and maybe a little bit on Sunday, but by Sunday night, I'm looking out 2 and 3 weeks to see what next action items I need, those big rocks I need to start putting in so that I'm proactively trying to reach my goal rather than, well, I just didn't get the calls that should have come in. What did you do? And what area? So, in sales, it's a numbers game. Mm-hmm. So it's pretty much leads and closing ratio. So, how many leads did I get? How many leads did I close? How many clients did I meet with? And then figuring out, okay, do I need more leads or do I need to be better at maybe transmitting the information so that information results in a enrollment? So, I think that is extremely important. And then, the final step of that is recognizing it, being okay with it, and getting the assistance that you need. Sometimes it's a life coach. Sometimes it's a sales coach. Sometimes it's, it's a therapist. Sometimes it's a therapist. I got too much going on at home. I've got teenage kids type of thing. I talk to agents and they're doing the best they can with the resources they have. But sometimes they just need to kind of, maybe make some just little modifications, not big changes, but just little modifications in their habits and things like that can go really a long way.
Yes, I love that. And both of you reminded me of 2 different books. So the Little Habits reminded me of that compound effect. So you do small changes every day that's going to lead to one big impact at the end of the day. And with regards to, prioritizing your tasks, I love the book, Eat the Frog. So, which is, if you had to do one thing, eat that frog first thing in the morning, every other task will seem super easy. So, how about, personal things that help you through the pandemic or made you just something that you completely changed? Like if I want to share something, I used to always say, I'm better in person. I'm very, kind of high sociable, creature. I'm very self-conscious about my accent because I'm not from the United States. So being on video was a daunting thing for me. But when the pandemic hit, I didn't have an outlet to, meet people on, except virtually. So I had to quickly, get out of my comfort zone and just do something because the option was not going to meet anybody, or just the other option, be online. So what are the things that you have overcome? Thank you, Leslie. What are the things that you have personally had to go through to pivot, whether personally or at work, or what you've seen with your clients? What would you say, Lauren?
Well, I've seen people really have the courage to change things. I've seen that people are willing to change even if they're nervous and get creative and do something that they've always wanted to do and maybe just didn't have the courage to do it. I know that happened for myself, and that's happened for so many of our clients. Yeah. I've also seen a lot of people bringing some self-compassion in. And you would talk a lot about people's health or gaining weight. I talked to a client yesterday and she said, gosh, I feel so bad. I gained that COVID-20. Okay, well, it's been a year. It's been a year. And so bringing that self-compassion in and reminding ourselves, it's a lot. It's been a lot. Even if we're thriving, it's still been a lot. And that whatever's not going maybe amazing today, what's one thing I could do to pivot and it'll be better tomorrow? And I will say on practical levels, things like getting an Instapot, being able to time block things for me have been really special and important. Getting up an hour earlier. These are things, not having that commute time, not having the activity time, not driving my kids everywhere or myself from activity to activity, and just being able to hop on Zoom. And I can't really say I was late due to traffic anymore, but getting to connect with people in a different way than I was used to before has been actually a blessing. But if you asked me a year ago, I thought, oh no, 2 weeks of staying home, like there's no way I can't do that. I can't stay home for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
You're crazy.
That's
You had
true.
told me it's going to be a year and a half. I would have never believed you.
Yeah, I know. How about you, Jen? How do you stay on track with your, self-discipline, self-care? How do you stay, on track, whether also, not only self-care, but also discipline to stick to what you have to do professionally?
Well, fortunately, I'll say, in many aspects, the type A personality is natural, right? So I have to do that pull away type of thing so I can get too focused, where I have to almost block time, as Laura was mentioning, block time for fun stuff. And some of my fun stuff is literally because my kids are grown and they're on the East Coast, which is another story because, and I'll touch on, because my younger son got married in the pandemic. And my older son met his fiance in October, is engaged and getting married in May in the pandemic. So that's a whole other story. But I think, the scheduling free time that go on a walk. So I know I get up, every day. My Monday through Friday is, I'm up at 4:30. I do my, my first thing is just my not quick, but 30 minutes of just read my Bible and just really getting focused. I then go down, get the coffee going, but then I go on my treadmill for 30 minutes. I don't run. I'm just a walker. But while I'm walking, I'm reading something. So, that's pretty much makes up my first hour. Then I shower and come down and get my coffee. And I'm in front of my computer, disciplined by 6:30, 6:45 every day. And that has been pre-pandemic. I kept that going in the pandemic, which I think is important, to keep as much of your routine as possible. And so now we're starting to lift in certain areas, but I'm keeping that momentum and that, going into the next phase, whatever that might look like. But, to touch on what I mentioned with my kids, never in a million years would I have thought that they would be getting married in a pandemic type of thing, where we wouldn't have these big weddings and things like that. But it's focusing too on what's important. I look at my sons have met beautiful women and beautiful from the inside out. I mean, it started here and it went there. And I think focusing on what is important. Is the big party wedding atmosphere the most important? No. I learned from experience as a divorced person, it's not about that. It's about the connection that you have. So I think I think the pandemic has really given us all an opportunity. Maybe not everybody has changed their perception, but it's given many of us an opportunity to change our perception on what is really important. If it's not really important, like we talked about, it's not going to be in my front row, right? In my, we're going to put it maybe to the back row and not focus so much on that. So
very cool. Thank you, Jen. Lauren, how about some tools that you can share with us? Some tools that you enable your clients to help them kind of find their pivots or find their creative mind, because sometimes when you are in the trenches, it's very hard to see kind of the forest from the trees, as they say. So how can you unleash that creativity and help them come up with, do you have any tools you can share with us on how to become, more creative or to be able to pivot more?
So I love a couple of things. Journaling. Okay. So taking time, whether it's in the morning, in the afternoon, going outside. So if you're working like a regular 9 to 5 or something like that, and you're at home having lunch on my patio, going outside, getting some vitamin D, it stirs that creative process versus being cooped up in the same. Also, I love this quote. This is that location has memory. And so even if you live in a small space, even if you live in a studio, then each corner needs to have memory. And most of us have, you know, at least a couple of bedrooms. So not disciplining ourselves not to eat where I'm working, if possible. And then if I'm going to journal and meditate, like that's a particular area, not bringing our TV into our bedroom, but watching TV in a specific spot. Not that we're perfect, trust me, but location has memory. And so the body will think, this is your time for sleeping, because that's all that you're doing in this, in the bedroom. It's not your time to eat. It's not your time to watch TV, because then it gets the mind going, right? So those things really help, because the more space you have for being creative, the more that the creativity can flow and you feel good and you feel empowered. Having beauty in your space. Normally, we joked when we were all on the trial that we normally have green screens, which are beautiful too, but we had to recreate our real spaces today. But I always have like a beautiful flower in front of me, have the window open, even though of course I'm working inside. Things like that, having a power playlist, telling Alexa, play me my power playlist, you know, if something doesn't go well that day, so that it changes your energy, it changes your mood. Calling a good friend, taking a walk, going outside, like moving the body really makes a difference. And I have more tools, but that's the first one. That's like kind of a foundation level.
I love because, you know, we are all a bundle of energy. And in order for you to change your energy, you need to change your posture, your position, get moving, your energy and your attitude will change. So what I wanted to also mention, I've been spending a lot of time recently on Clubhouse, and someone said a sentence that really stuck with me, and he said, always version 1 is better than version none. And that means just try something new. It doesn't have to be perfect from the first time. Change and try and, you know, and find what inspires you. So maybe you go to the beach one day, or you go on a hike and you feel like your energy is more of a beach energy. Try to find what inspires you. So I know we have 7 minutes. So everybody who is in the room, please feel free to ask. Tell us who you are, what you do. Drop your questions in the chat. We would love to make it as interactive as possible, and make sure that you engage with our amazing panelists. They are a wealth of knowledge and information from an experience perspective, and they're both amazing women. So ask away. Don't be shy. For those of you who are very daring, you can jump with us on the stage and show your, be with us and have your camera on. But in the meantime, I'm going to be monitoring the chat to see who's with us and what kind of questions. Jen, what else helped your team kind of pivot during this pandemic, as from a business perspective?
We've touched on some of the items. I mean, I think staying focused on what they really want to accomplish long term. So even a pandemic, though it's gone on now over, close to over a year, depending. I think if their long-term goal is still to be a broker serving their community, there are so many opportunities right now in helping. Like I said, my industry is all Medicare senior related. There are still touch points that they have with their clients that would be very beneficial. Seniors are really having to navigate different websites to schedule vaccines. There's seniors that don't know how to do that. There's family members that normally would have assisted mom and dad to do that, but they're prevented from.
They're not able to visit them anymore. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's where sometimes the broker can really be a strong liaison there. And even with medical records and things like that, we were touching on technology. And, nowadays you don't go into the doctor's office for the most part, and you don't see those manila folders that are stacked up like this, right? The doctors usually carry in the iPad and, click, 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 click. And everybody that I've talked to, so many people that I've talked to, they get very offended by that. They're like, my doctor doesn't sit down and take notes. but I really try to help people understand the reason behind that. It is a much safer system to have it in a computer that if you had a car accident in another state, doctors could actually have access to your health records online through electronic version rather than paper. I remember the days where you had to go, go pick up x-rays in the film, and you would,
that's all gone. Yeah.
And we want that to be gone. We want to move on. So there's things that, yes, it's a little bit less maybe what we think personal, but overall it's well worth that compromise in giving us better health outcomes.
That's fantastic. We have actually a question from Leslie. So she's asking for advice on making a clean break. She's saying, I've spent the year pivoting to a new way of doing business, and now the old ways are taking over my time. Grateful for clients, but feel like I'm back on the hamster wheel. Who would like to address that?
Wow. I'll let Lauren, since she's coached so many.
So I would say, Leslie, what habits do you feel like are taking over? And then do you mean that you're accepting clients that you decided you weren't going to, but you accepted them and you're grateful for the work? Can you clarify a little bit? I don't know if you want to come on stage. It'd be easier to coach you live, but accepting clients. So like you decided, I'm not going to be great.
Hey, Leslie, welcome.
Yes. So trying to move to a more digital format, which Lauren and I have talked about this stuff before, but and wrote a book last.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. It's a very simple 50-page guide, which is, what I thought small businesses need. And it's okay, but I like to focus more on that. And now I've lined up things to, promote that more, want to do more digital classes, speaking engagements, those kinds of things. And then all of a sudden PR is coming back. I mean, there was not a whole lot going on. And I'm also a facilitator, nothing going on live. And my main clients were government agencies. So they all got deployed to work on COVID. So it wasn't even happening. So now all that stuff is creeping back. And I'm like, well, I want the money. It's like, okay, am I going to get stuck here? And it may be fine, like this is going here and then this is going to go here. And pretty soon I'll be where I want to be. But you just, there's always a worry. Am I ever going to move on?
It's tough because you want to keep with what you want to be doing. And those things have been off the table. So it's not like you've had to say no to them. They haven't been there. Now they're here. And so they're like, knock, 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 knock. What are your... So and Hala and Jan can probably chime in too, but looking at, okay, let's get clear on what I want. And then giving yourself a deadline. And you may say, Leslie, because it's been an interesting year, cash flow wise, you may need to say yes for 6 months. I don't know, so like really, and give yourself a deadline and say, you know what, this is temporary and I'm still going to have a boundary, but since it's here, I'm going to do it for 6 months and I'm going to build this online presence, and that July 1st is my date, so that you still feel an integrity if you decide. Now you may say, you know what, I don't need the cash flow. The only reason I'm going to say yes is for the cash flow. Therefore I'm going to say no. So that's for you to figure out. If you're simply saying yes for the cash flow, that's okay. You're not being untrue to yourself. You're just being smart. We do need money to live. So saying yes and then have an end date and being clear on exactly why you're saying yes. Do you feel obligated? Because I'll say yes because I want people to like me. So that's a good reason to say no. But if you're doing it from a strategic, like financial standpoint, great.
Right. Okay. Good. I like the deadline idea.
Yeah, I would also like to ask. Go ahead, Jen.
I was going to say, I work with a lot of brokers, which I know it's a different industry, but I have brokers that maybe have started in the financial planning side, right? And they're trying to weave that Medicare in without giving up on the financial planning. So it's kind of weaving in and just saying, okay, 40% of my time I'm going to be doing X, and 30, and then it's kind of looking at your calendar that you have going forward to see if you're living true to that. But then also looking at the calendar to the back end to see if you lived up to it. But I always say you can't go forward, right? Looking at the rearview mirror. You can't always look forward and say, oh, but I spent so much time. Moving forward, we got to at least look forward most of the time. And income is, that's a big factor. We can't ignore that. It's not bad to make monies, and we do try to stay true to ourselves, but kind of keeping the balance and whatever, if it's a 40, 60, 70, 30 type split, and then kind of seeing, okay, how did that work for me last week? How am I set up for the next week or two, and can I make any modifications? And then looking at, hey, where's my income coming from? Is it coming primarily from here or there, type of thing too?
Sure. Thank you.
Did that help, Leslie? Awesome. Awesome.
There's so many agencies. There's so many opportunities for even like businesses like yours that sometimes people haven't even thought of yet. Like with the medical groups and with the brokers, they're all looking for folks that could write just a small little brochure for them, and they don't know where to go. So sometimes it's positioning yourself in a niche that nobody has thought of yet. And it's really the same thing that you've been doing on a big scale. You've just niched it into a market like insurance or something else that you say, you know what, that's the area I'm going to kind of specialize 40% of my time in and see how that works.
Well, I shared with Lauren through Facebook or something a few months ago. I sent out a press release for the book, and I got 2 PR clients from it. And I'm like, did you buy my book? Which, great. Yeah. Right. So, and it turned out, and they were pleased with what I did for them, but it's unexpected gems. Yes. I can't argue with that. Yes. It's an interesting journey.
Exactly. always be, receiving of those gifts and know which ones to say no, because some of them might be really good opportunities that will open doors. Some of them, and we were talking before, we're going to say no, thank you. So with that, we are 3 minutes past our end timing, and we have 2 more minutes before our next session starts. So thank you everybody for joining us on this breakout room. I hope you find, I would love for you, before you leave, to share what is the number 1 thing you learned, or 3 things you learned, whatever, anything you want to take with you and start implementing in your journey to pivot. And we would love to hear from you. If you would like to get in touch with any of our panelists or myself, feel free to get in touch with us, and we will be always happy to help out. So in the meantime, we're gonna have 1 more minute before our next group. Those of you who are still in the room, announce yourself. Let us know who's here. Tell us your name. What do you do? Come on stage. We would love to make it as interactive as possible. We promise we're friendly, but it's all up to you. You can just leave your name and tell us where you're from, what do you do, what's your profession, and share your questions, share your aha moments. I would love to hear if an idea clicks with you. Type it in the chat. We would love to hear what is resonating with you and what you're going to implement in your day, so that you're going to be more productive, so that you're going to be able to use your reset wisely and improve your life and improve your business at the same time. So with that, we're going to start by welcoming the new people in the breakout room, and we will wait for our panelist, Miss Lauren. She's back. So we're gonna reset the room in a minute. I'm gonna introduce our panelists, and we are going to welcome again everybody who is with us. So before I read the bios of our fabulous panelists, I want you to type in, everybody who is watching us, feel free to jump in and share your camera and make it as interactive as possible. If not, type in the chat who you are, what you do, and any questions that made you join the room today. And I would love to also get from you or ask you throughout our discussion if you have any big aha moment, any great tip that you would like to implement moving forward. We would love to hear from you on what's resonating. And that being said, let me start by introducing our fantastic panelists. Today we have with us Lauren Sweeney. She's a coach and a trainer with Rise Up For You. Speaker, confidence creator, and mindset trainer. Lauren is an activator and a creative thinker with a heart for public service. Disciplined, coachable, and goal-oriented, she is driven by challenges and has a passion for leadership development and collaboration. She has advanced coaching certifications from the Direct Sales World Alliance, along with a Bachelor of Science in Communication and Regional Development from UC Davis. While there, Lauren also earned the Charles Hess Community Service Award for her efforts in the community. Lauren has served as an ambassador for the Brea Chamber for several years and enjoys supporting businesses with marketing and confidence leadership development. Serving as a trainer for trainers for the California Association of Student Councils for many years, Lauren thrives on mentoring via asking questions and actively listening and being a positive example of what she teaches. That's about Lauren. You will hear much more from her. But now let me introduce our fantastic Jan Walsh. Jan is a highly motivated and accomplished insurance executive with personal and professional integrity. Her innovative sales and marketing strategies and leadership skills are the foundation of her success. Jan started her career at Anthem Blue Cross as a Medicare sales rep and was quickly promoted to a regional sales manager for individual, group, and Medicare sales. In 2012, she was recruited by Ward and Brown as National Sales Director, developing their individual and Medicare division. When that division was sold, she became an account executive with Emerson Reed, serving as general agent for group insurance. Jan joined Easy Choice in 2017, assisting their growth, which led to the integration with WellCare and further integration with Centene. Jan was promoted to Senior Manager, Broker Products. In August of 2020, Jan was recruited by Copeland Insurance Group, where she is now the Regional Vice President and handle the West region. So as you see, we have an amazing group of panelists with us. And a quick note about myself. My name is Hala Dabboussy, and I am a business coach. I come from an IT background where I worked for 17 years, managing multi-million dollars department. And now I coach businesses on how to make their business profitable and how they can smile every day, because business should make you smile every day. So welcome, everybody. So for those of you who are joining us in the room, type in the chat, let us know who you are, what you do, and if you would like be with us on the stage so we can make it as interactive as possible. And with that, I would like to, since our topic for today is pivoting in a virtual world, and this pandemic has really flipped our world upside down. It started with a virus and has impacted the whole world globally. And, mostly, like not one industry has been impacted. Everyone was. So Jen, from your perspective, how did that affect the healthcare industry in general and the insurance more specifically? From your perspective, can you share with us how did that impact your industry and how did you pivot?
Great, thank you, Hala. So there has been so many changes in the health insurance industry that has been moving, and the healthcare industry that has been evolving over time. But in the last year since the pandemic, it's almost like putting fire on that spark, because it just, not in a blow up sense negatively, but it really just ignited what needed to be done for a very, very long time. So things that we were accustomed to doing and meeting our doctors face to face and things like that have really changed. Virtual health appointments, telehealth appointments, those appointments now are more prevalent than folks going into a doctor's office. Now, if there was one industry I thought would be safe, right, be a doctor seeing a patient face to face, right? You would think, but I actually witnessed a doctor up in the Westminster area, and he has 2 offices. He has one in Westminster, he has another in Apple Valley. And I'm like, my gosh, how do you keep your patients? I mean, driving back and forth. And he says, most of the time I can do virtual. And he showed me the equipment, which kind of leads to the next part, remote monitoring. There's a lot of virtual remote equipment that they use now or have access to now that really steps up the way that we and our doctors can collaborate to help us have better health outcomes. So, you know, the equipment has gotten better. The communication is getting better. I think there's still a long way to go, especially in the Medicare space, but there's still a long way to go for us to get better. But it opens up, that's the part that opens up the opportunity, because all these industries need new intel. They need new viewpoints. People that have lived and worked in that particular environment for years and years and years, it's not working anymore. They need new blood. They need new ideas, and they're willing. The good thing is many companies are willing to pay quite well to get that new energy and new innovation within them. So, you know, Lauren is an expert in coaching people from maybe skill sets that they might have had in, let's say, school teaching or whatever it can be, but looking at those skills that are more what I call hard skills, soft skills, and saying, okay, those are your strengths. Let's maybe consider one of the industries that's actually thriving rather than waiting for an industry to come back. Because a lot of the service industry, whether it's, you know, you were a server at a restaurant, I say, you know, it doesn't matter. A lot of those industries are going to be really changed moving forward for quite a while. So is that really something you want to wait around for? Or do we want to maybe pivot and use those skills that you've developed, whether it's working at, you know, Neiman Marcus and you know, client relations or what have you? We can still use those skills in something else and be quite successful doing that.
Yes, I love that, because, you know, those soft skills, these are, you know, when you are dealing with people, this is what matters. At the end of the day, the product or the service that you are selling can be anything. But if you develop those skills of talking to the individuals, asking the right questions, and we have the master of asking the right questions, Miss Lauren, tell us more about, you know, what were the primary barriers that stop people from pivoting, and what did it take for them to learn, and the tools they can use in order for them to make that shift?
Absolutely. Asking ourselves questions and then asking others. So talking to your clients or your community could make a huge difference. Jan, you were saying earlier, you know, a lot of people need to use technology to make a doctor's appointment visit now, and the senior doesn't necessarily know how to do that, and hopefully she has people around her that do. So if I was, let's say, a doctor, and I knew that this was my community, this is my client avatar, was maybe a community of people that weren't very techy, yet I'm pivoting to a completely technical platform. Okay, we have a disconnect. So not that we shouldn't pivot to the platform, like I'm all about the telehealth and everything, but if I'm speaking and listening to my community, what do they need? They need a phone number to call to walk them through that. You know, most people are trying to get vaccinated and they're, let's say, over 65, and you only can do it online, and yet they don't know how to navigate the online world. I probably helped like 10 people get a vaccination appointment. And I'm not saying that to get political, if you believe in that or not, whatever. That's not the point. The point is, like, we're in a digital world, and that's great, but yet we have to listen to our community and listen to people we're serving. So that was just in the health world. Let's say that you serve like Leslie was, I don't know if she's still in the room, but like Leslie was on, and she was talking about serving like a PR community. What is it that they need? How do you know the pulse of your people? You have to talk to them. pick up the phone, get on Zoom with them, do a poll. Some people do this so well and others do not do a good job of it. So the more that we listen, like Jan, I'm sure with people that are in the field that you're coaching, if they would listen to their people and listen to the person that they're selling to, they will get the answers. Listen to the doctors that they're working with. They'll get. I feel like that's where we want to start is, yes, we talked about habits earlier in the last session, but then it's asking questions of our community and the people and our ideal clients to know, like, what's the next step.
Yes.
And so what's even started to happen really in the health insurance side is some of the health plans that are dealing with seniors, they now have an 800 number that the seniors can call into specifically to help them set up their iPad.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, because they know that if that senior does not get set up, A, they can't do the virtual appointments, and B, emotionally, they are going to be better off if they can communicate to see their grandkids and things like that. So it serves a couple purposes, but, setting up an 800 number, but then it goes even further than that. I'm always like, peel back the onion even more. Okay, so it creates different jobs for the health plan, but then those folks have to be trained on how to coach. Think about it, how to coach a senior that you don't see. It's not like we're doing it on Zoom because they don't have Zoom.
Yeah,
they
they're
don't
on
have
the phone
iPad.
first.
We're on the telephone, and many times that's a landline, right? Well, many times it's a landline hooked to the wall. So they're literally just, it's a different community that we serve, but we do need to get, and this is where, again, opportunities open when we have disruption. But by 2035, they're stating that 50% of the population will be 65 and older. So we're having more folks 2035. So that's what, 14 years away. 50% of the population will be 65 and older. So, I look at, I'm not that far away, but I'm like, gosh, to have all those people in that same capacity.
Right.
And technology, you look back 5 years, I mean, how much technology has come along in 5 years? It's an exponential launch moving forward. So, having those tools, and I think the way companies are being innovative, and we all have to, is to look forward and see, it's kind of like both of my sons played soccer.
Yeah.
And you can't stay and play where the ball is.
Yes.
You've got
Run
to
before,
play
ahead
where
of the
ball is going, right? So you need to get to that spot to receive the ball. So I think getting to where you need to be first, and then waiting for the pass, right? Waiting for the industry. So the more we can kind of set ourselves up to succeed that way, the better.
Totally.
I love that soccer analogy. Oops. Very cool. So what are the things that people need to focus on, when trying to pivot? Because sometimes people get pulled in so many different directions. They listen to this person and they listen, no, do this and no, do that. What do you think, Lauren, are the grounding rules of how to pivot? Because sometimes it's very hard because people don't know. It's an uncharted territory for many people. So what do you think are the grounding factors or the essential things to start maybe to reflect? And then, so what would you advise in someone still trying to decide what's the next step going to be?
I think that's why they have to maybe get input, but then talk to a trusted advisor, journal it out if they like to process more internally, take some time and really lay it all out. Even get out that poster board or the huge, Post-it note, or get out the whiteboard and map it out so that you can have clarity. You can't go in 20 directions, and kind of what we were talking to Leslie about earlier, having a focus and getting clarity. All right, I have 10 options. Cool. Fantastic. All right. Now, which one is the best one? Yes. And if A doesn't work out, I'll try Q later.
And I think sometimes too, asking folks that are very close to you, whether it be family or whether it be just close girlfriends or friends in general, And it's okay to ask, what do you find my strengths are? A truly honest friend.
Yes, will say the truth.
Will tell you. And I have truly honest friends that will tell me also when I'm kind of off the beam and like, you're whacking out at something. I say, I ask a trusted friend, what do you find I do well at? And then the second part of that is, do I like doing it? Because if I don't like doing it, even though I'm good at it, if I don't enjoy it, it's not going to be something that I wake up to. The fortunate thing for me is I wake up every day and I never consider I'm going to work. It's literally, I just log on my computer. I engage with the peeps I need to engage with. I go to dinner. Last night I was at dinner with one of like my competitors, but we were just talking about just the industry and sharing ideas. And I think fostering that positivity is always good.
I agree. I think, getting sound advice, and you need to do your due diligence and ask around. And actually, I want to, make a reference to something that I learned from Nadalina, the founder of Rise Up For You. And she always talks about, the 5 people, right, who you should surround yourself with. And I love that 5 people, because Jim Rohn used to always say, you are the average of the 5 people you mostly hang out with. So I love what Nada did. Exactly. I love what Nada did. So Nada took it to another level by saying, be selective about those 5 people you surround yourself with, and be very choosy. Have your cheerleader, someone who's going to support you. Have your mentor, have your trusted advisor, have your promoter, connector, and your advocate. You need all these people in your team. I know she calls them your board of directors. So hire your board of director, because you need those people that no matter what, they got your back. But because they got your back, they're gonna say it to you as it is. And I love that, because sometimes many people surround themselves with like kind of yes man, yes people. So, oh, you're doing great. This is great. No, I don't want that. I want feedback that's gonna help me move forward. So, surrounding ourselves with those people who are going to empower us and, give us that and elevate us, not, pull us down. Because, we were talking about distractions and the ability to say no. So toning down, I call, when I hear my clients say, this is horrible, I was like, tone down your awfulizer. We don't need to hear listen to negativity, and let's start finding people who are going to bring out the best in us. So, Jen, what keeps you motivated? You just said you wake up every morning, you're excited, and I'm the same way. I always say I don't have to go to work. I get to go to work. I get to do what I do. So what keeps you motivated?
I do. I guess a lot of that, and it's hard because I do have folks that are, close friends that they don't wake up. They want to hit this. I can't think of a time ever, and I know this sounds really crazy, but I've never hit the snooze button. I don't think I have ever hit the snooze button. And that is a good thing, right?
Yes, absolutely. I'm the same.
I look at it, I fumble around to find my glasses, and I'm up. I say my little prayers while I'm still laying down. I always learn to, say your prayers before your feet hit the floor.
Yeah.
I make my bed. Okay. That is first thing. I know that's
that's your first accomplishment of the day.
Right? There's a whole book that's been written on
this is your first accomplishment of the day. Yeah.
But I make my bed. That goes back all the way to childhood. Make my bed. And when that last pillow goes on the bed, for me, when the last pillow, the decorative pillows, I should say, go on the bed, is when it's my clue. When we said habits, connecting habits, last pillow goes on, and where do I go? Down on my knees. and I go down on my knees on my bed and I say my real day prayer that what do I really want? For me, it's God, God's help to position me to be of maximum service to people, whether it's my brokers, whether it's my friends, whether it's my sons in North Carolina, whoever it is, give me the tools, the knowledge, the words to be of maximum service. And that's when I'm down on my knees. And then once I get up from my knees, then I go and do my Bible reading. And I think it's the discipline part of the morning where I don't have to think about it. I just do it. Yes. I just, it's the Nike. Just do it.
Yes.
Right.
Don't think about it. Just do it. It works. Yeah. It works.
Because the difference, I think, that these are the habits of, I think, the successful people versus, the others where, first thing they snooze, second start scrolling, social media, listen to the noise. So they wake up to noise instead of waking up to peace. So, and the peace give you clarity. Noise give you just, it blurs your vision. So what do you think, Lauren? I know it's just us in the room, so we're just making it a intimate discussion.
Is it just us?
It's been us
I
the
think
whole
it is
time.
now. We could
no, it's been us the whole time. Since we start, since
I
I've given the
says
introduction.
3 out of 9. It says 3 out of 9.
Yeah, just us.
Oh, just us.
Just us.
Oh,
since I read the introduction, and I just went ahead with it. So
whatever.
We're having a great time ourselves.
Yeah, I know. I love listening to you guys.
Just a joy.
I love listening to you.
They could not have matched this.
Totally.
Perfectly. I mean, I'm just amazed how.
I love it.
We just went.
It's just like every session I learn something new from you, Jen, or from you, Lauren. It's just fascinating.
It's been fun.
Yes.
I love it.
Well, I thought too, if we don't need to repeat each session. Like we can bring up different things we're learning, how we're engaging. It's so interesting to talk to people that really we're in it. We're creating it. We're like, what are we doing? And Jen, you talked about, getting up and you don't have to think about it, not hitting the snooze. Because you had those habits pre-pandemic. So then the crisis hits, whether or not it was a crisis for you or not, but like the world changes on its head, but you already had those habits going. And so if we didn't have those habits, okay, that's okay. Like the agents you work with, the clients you work with, Hala. All right. So how do we create them? But it's hard to create them in the midst of a crisis.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it is hard. And then they get wound up in things, but you're right. I mean, I have to always be careful because, I'm in front of my computer 6:45 at the latest, and I'm working for a while, and it can be like, I'm ready to call somebody and I look at it's only 8:05 and I'm trying to, it's like, and I've got brokers that are just getting maybe not even up yet. Right. I mean, so it's just and everybody's different. I get that. A lot of my market, different ethnicities are like late nighter people. And it's not that they're doing anything bad at late, but that's just
a different pace.
Body. Yeah. They are late night and they wake up late morning. Yeah. And, but for me, I've always been a morning person. And this is really, I mean, the day I sleep in is Sunday, and that's till 5 o'clock. So, and people laugh about it, but why sleep in if I've got my, 7 hours of sleep, and I'm not a late night person. I mean, if you sit me in front of a TV at 9, 10 o'clock, I'm going to doze off on you. Yeah. Just do not enjoy sitting there. And
same for me and my husband are completely opposite. I'm an early riser. I'm up by 5, and he's a late night. So I say we cross at similar matching energy at 4 p.m. But I don't snooze. I'm up and all chatty and energetic. He needs like a couple of hours coffee first, like quiet time, and different personalities and different type.
Different ways that we gain energy. Well, it's been fun to be with you guys. So
it has been a lot of fun.
Let me see what's happening outside. So there is a break.
Well, definitely we'll stay in touch though.
Definitely. Let's stay in touch.
I'd love to.
It'd be great. It'd be great. I know we're
I would love
connected on
to have you.
LinkedIn.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.